And I don't really know what I'm gonna do now, but I figure I might as well just drink. Between the yawn of the hedge trimmer and the silence of the shrubbery, I can hardly hear myself laugh audibly. Watch my hands crack with the first streaks of heartbreak. You see, in a dirty port city disguised as a bird sanctuary, I've been building gardens for rich people with poor people's blood. And if I've learned anything at all from working hard labor with hardened men, it's that every day of eking out an existence with a shovel means an evening spent drunk. And tonight, there are men sitting outside the liquor store, outside the mall, waiting for that liquor store to open tomorrow. There is no pretty poetry when the snow lifts. I'm not tanned. The only markers I've ever had for my labors are one time a puncture wound on the inside of my left thigh, and often scars up my forearms from one too many fights with the crown of thorns. In the mall, I watch anorexic ghost women chew the underbelly out from the food court trash. They are spinning, sad and codependent. And on all the TVs in that same mall, our children are still huffing gas and smoking meth, and these women are still looking for their baby's daddy on Maury. God, grant us all some serenity. I cannot accept this. But you see, one more chromosome, and we are a condition. But in this, our constant flux of mutations, some of us become mutilations of something some call God's perfections, and we are conditioned to cope without coping. Our addictions are a straw house filled with broken glass and sunlight and smokers. We are heart or we are head. We get to build or we get to think, but we're all being curb-stomped by our own dualisms. We are no longer together, fission, fusion, body, mind, and when we do question,
club of $1,000 bills. Band campus and pulled up. Read about P-books, TV, middle dance for the night nights. Baby, baby. Picked up the brown, way past the dawn. 57 channels, nothing on. 57 channels. 57 channels. 57 channels. Nothing on. Check this out. Home entertainment. My baby, went out to town, but I better lie to dead. To the proof of the pop red car. Went home and pointed it to the stop. A best hip came back from the baby on. 57 channels, nothing on. May 7th, 1842. Those attendance stood and applauded Beethoven's Ninth Symphony with a fuck protocol firestorm ovation of unbridled joy. Though it fell on composer's deaf ears. Birds fly, the ocean beams, pounds of sand, and my father is losing his hearing, and my mother has nightmares. Even as a kid from the other end of the house, I could hear her crying in her sleep like she was being hung. So I prepared my prayers, I signed the documents to make them official. You can call what I do postmodern Joni Mitchell. But really, what can you do when even my city subway runs in the sky?
Well, I can write, but have to fight to pry the words out from my throat. I always choke. It's not that I have nothing to say. It's that I have too much to say. I want to tell you everything, confess every crushing thought that's ever crossed my mind, but they all get cauterized. And all that comes out is... I want to show you I'm not this timid little thing, that inside I'm seething, screaming, my words beaten, bruised, and oozing, every noun and vowel and verb about to burst out of my skin and suffocate you all with all the things I never say. I want you dripping in my dialogue, covered in my consonants. I want you slathered in my syllables. I want my words to pester you like flies, hover around your head at night until my voice narrates your dreams. I want you to listen to me.
They drool over my face while I pass out drunk. I'm a horrible babysitter. And they say, happy birthday, Mr. Dressup. Thank you for giving us the gift of tickle trunks worldwide. As part of Mr. Dressup Day, you should add some new junk to your trunk. Nothing says Friday like a beer doing your after-work bowel movement. Didn't see this coming. Going to go pick up B from her period surgery. The weekend gives me so much ping pong power, it's great. I killed a unicorn. All the hypocrisy of pro-lifers. What the F is cray-cray anyway? The guy who named chimichangas should be given more authority to name things.
Leaders, the do-gooders, the heart-eaters, I watch them beat a trail thick as paint from the houses of worship, smoldering onwards looking for new canvases to burn and new records to turn. Meanwhile, she flings pieces of herself against the floorboards in wet dollops. Her flailing conduct, her lilting panache, like straight from some sordid dream of violins, knee aches, and Swiss heavy cream.
Poetry doesn't get pussy anymore. Instead, us poets are thrown out of William Blake's door, casted and isolated outside while the steady rain pours, and all we are left with is a bottle of Jameson, a pack of cigarettes which you paid for. We are quite content to sit and listen to you mention your admonition about how our certain particular profession is foolish. You feel the need to remind each and every one of us that being arbitrary is not just. You continue to construe that we are not good enough for you, and that no one can make a decent salary quoting Shelley. Yes, interesting memories. Many stories. Sadly, you'll never know them, because that'll mean you have to read my poetry.
We have sex in the dark, so my flesh becomes perfect. The swell beneath my belly button, not fat but fabric, of the blanket thought discarded at the sound of a zip. My brow reins and breasts that have never been more than a handful, that were once enough until they weren't, and needed to be stuffed, propped up, instead of worshipped. You picture my lips full and parted, saying your name. We have sex in the dark so I can play your game too. Your flesh becomes someone else's. Scars shift by inches, the birthmark travels, all smooth and indistinguishable beneath fingers in search of new.
Who know so much about what it means to care for their children and for each other that they'd rather not let us share. They taught us it's meant to hurt, that the bird in your breast deserves to rot on its perch. They made us dirty. I'm aware you escaped them unscathed. I bathe in the tone of your voice when you tell me it doesn't have to be that way, and ask me to stay, cradle me close, and carry me back into bed. Darling, you're a saint. I paint your name into the chambers of my heart in the hopes that my veins would carry you, not just to my brain, but to the marrows of my bones and all over my skin, where you can reclaim the word sacred. I do not belong to the sun or the moon. In 9th grade, Portinho Greek frustrations manifested themselves in the need for transformation. I wanted fur to prickle forth from my skin like hypodermic flower stems, needed my voice to lower and break, ripping vocal cords and slicing growls, wanted to double forward in pain, spine crackling, ribs snapping, muscles toiling and troubling to new shapes and strengths, needed to be bound by this lycanthropic curse in quadrupedal ecstasy, howling at the moon, driven by Artemis. And all her virginal, obviously lesbian, werewolf-sanctioned femininity, she was the only god I'd ever prayed to.
Sitting across from me at the dinner table doesn't make you my father. The fact that you once made love to my mother doesn't make me your daughter. Father isn't a title given. It's something earned and you've got to work for it. It's time, Daddy. Step up to the plate, raise your head up, yell to the world, the man I can be is great. And then be that man. Give me someone to run to, good grades or a broken heart, a sprained wrist or a car that won't start. Promise me you'll be there and that you'll care and that I won't turn around tomorrow and look out the window and stare at the back of your head. Because I'm done just being another actress in your trick show.
I will meet you in Agra, India, where we promised ourselves to each other in the thick papaya and temple trees and warmth of the Barbapur forest, where sweat ran down our bodies and the sun baked our naked backs. The jaguars walked around the camp, hurrying the night away, where cinnamon and saffron float and are carried by warm winds to stained clothes, where we will bathe in the Yamuna River that runs slow from up north through the New Delhi, from the Himalayan ice sheets, washing our hearts clean for each other, where purples and yellows and browns bleed the streets into the waters of love and make the rivers never feel lost and empty.
Cognition spins webs, constantly away from their start. His skin flakes, cells renew, a new man. Our notions move still. The threads wind around in tangled labyrinths, though your body moves at least 600 miles per hour right where you sit. He aches, bones brittle, bright blue eyes darken, bloated tongues held in pockets of taut confusion, a fresh babe, oxygen intoxicated.
Can we live practical and conserve our natural capital? Because the actual facts will show we are digging the grave into which our planet's casket will go. At a pace that is casual, displacing the invaluable, the cow and the goat, with material mountains and our fountains of growth. Today the people ask if our fountain is broke, or if political plumbers can wake from their slumber and cope. It takes more than that though, hundreds upon hundreds of folks, growing their own cucumbers, not listening to the new thunder that grows.